Hi, this is Jordan Moorhead. This is the Austin Real Estate Investing Podcast. And today we have David Lecko, the founder of DealMachine, a super cool app. And he's going to tell you all about how he's involved in real estate investing and how DealMachine can help you take your investing to the next level. Hey, David, how
Thanks.
are you?
Hey, Jordan, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on and excited to talk about real estate investing.
Awesome. So really quick, for everybody who doesn't know you, could you tell our guest who you are and how you're involved with real estate investing?
Yeah, so who I am, I'm somebody who loves trying new things. I'm a really curious person. I love making friends. And I just hosted my very first 2-hour cocktail party actually in Indianapolis because I read this book on how making friends as an adult is sometimes difficult, and the best way to do it is this 2-hour cocktail party that the author was very scientific with all these different party formats and structures. And I had a really awesome time trying that out.
That's awesome. So you're from Indianapolis, right?
I'm from St. Louis. You're correct. I spent the last 7 years in Indianapolis.
Okay, that's awesome. I was born in Indianapolis, and I have some relatives that live in St. Louis, but I grew up in Kentucky for most of my life, in Louisville, Kentucky, for the first 21 years.
Got it. Cool. Well, that's like the opposite of me.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So could you tell everybody just basically what you're up to with real estate investing right now and how the company that you've built helps real estate investors?
Yeah, so I got started in 2016. I was working for a small business owner as a software developer. He had 5 rental properties, and I asked him, why do you invest in these rental properties? I've always been taught that the stock market's the best way to retire early and achieve financial freedom. And he said that the stock market goes up and down, but if you have a cash flowing rental property that you can control, you can always make money on it no matter what the market's doing. So I got really interested, and I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I went looking for my first rental property in 2016. That led me to Drive for Dollars, which is looking for a rundown house that's off market. And I failed. I felt like I missed a deal that could have been the perfect first deal for me. And I used that really sad energy to make a very basic widget on my phone to help me with my follow-up. So as soon as I saw a rundown house, instead of forgetting to get in contact with the owner, it would look up the county record, it would tell me who owns it, and it would send a piece of mail to the owner. And so in a nutshell, that is how DealMachine started. Today, we do a lot more. We've got your tax lien information. We've got your MLS comps. You can see the photos that are actually published on the MLS. You can run comps in the palm of your hand in the mobile app. So we do a lot more than just direct mail, county records, driving for dollars, and route tracking, but that is how it started. And that is my story.
Yeah. And it's a really awesome piece of software. So with DealMachine, just the basic app DealMachine, you can take a picture of a property, it will look up the owner, it will put that picture onto a piece of direct mail with all of your information and say, hey David, I see your property at 123 Elm Street. I would like to buy your property at 123 Elm Street. I'm a cash buyer. I'll buy any property. I close quick, whatever you want it to say. And you guys have a lot of cool templates on there too. And it'll send that piece of mail to them. But something that DealMachine does really well that I think is awesome is that it will continually send those pieces of mail to them. You can choose a frequency. You set it up however you want it. It's very affordable. And then you can skip trace that number in there too. So at the same time that you've sent that piece of mail to them, you can just call them and say, hey, my name's Jordan. I saw your property at 123 Elm Street. I'm interested in buying it. Maybe you don't reach them there. So you send a piece of mail, maybe you text follow up. And I think that's the key to getting in contact with off-market sellers is just continual follow up. DealMachine does that for you where they set up the letters just to go out like clockwork.
Right. Really that was a big component is I was forgetting to send the second and third letter. So it automatically does repeat that for you and you don't forget to send it out.
Yeah.
As any sales type literature says, it takes, 7 to 12 touch points to get some type of lead or a deal. And
Mhm.
so that is the same concept that we just applied to why the mail would resend out on repeat.
Love it. Yeah, and I think it's it just that number keeps going up. So it was 7 to 12 contacts, and now it feels like it's more and more and more. So at least you take care of that one part with the repeating mail.
Mhm.
And I was telling you a quick story before we got started here. I used DealMachine here in Austin in 2018 on a house that I walked by in East Austin. I was staying on the block. I really liked the block. And I said, hey, I'd love to have a house here. So I was deal machining all the houses on the block, especially the ones that look like they need to be fixed up. And a few months later, a lady called and said, hey, I've got this house. I got your letter, or I've been getting your letters. I'd sell it to you for 330,000. At the time, I said that's it's kind of expensive. It's a lot for a house in East Austin, and just kind of blew it off. Didn't do much with that. Didn't follow up. Didn't hand it off to somebody else. Now I would say that house is worth 600 to 700,000 on a bad day, maybe.
Mhm.
And all I did was send a deal machine letter that I think maybe cost me $1. I was on a walk. I took a picture of the house with deal machine, and that's all I had to do.
Right.
So
Sorry you
simple.
missed out on that deal, but yeah, opportunities come when you're doing marketing, when you're reaching out to people and having conversations. And it's almost a numbers game too. I'm sure she wasn't the only person you had sent a postcard to, right?
Oh, definitely not. No, at least the whole block. So let's say 40 houses.
Mm-hmm. Got
Yeah. But yeah, it is a numbers game, and your response rate might be 1 to 2% if you're doing well on direct mail. So you got to
it.
send out
Agreed.
a lot of them. But
Yeah.
why Deal Machine is great is you don't just have to blanket blast out an area. You can go around like David's talking about while you're driving for dollars and identify the houses that have distress. So they have the trash in the lawn, or the long lawn, or the broken window, or the torn up roof, and mail those people that look like they're more likely to need to sell.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So if you're in a Midwest market like Indianapolis, where you were born and where I just lived for the last 7 years,
Mhm.
you could probably find 300 distressed houses and send mail to them like 3 times each, and you could probably do a deal from that. If you have a list that you got that is just absentee owners, instead of 300 properties, you probably have to send mail to I would say for 4 or 5,000. So the direct mail cost goes up quite a bit from 300 to 4,000 different properties. What would you say those numbers are in a market like Austin?
I just talked to a guy today. I think he sent out around 50,000 mail pieces and did one deal.
Okay.
One good deal. He's only doing good deals.
What was did the deal pay for the marketing expense? I mean, 50,000 has me stuttering over here.
Yeah, no, it did.
Oh, good. All right.
Yeah. But that's in a market like Austin, where people are getting so many direct mail pieces because it's such a hot market. Maybe not for long, but right now you've got Open Door, and you have Zillow, and then you had Redfin, and some of these have dropped off, and then you have all the wholesalers sending out. I think being extremely targeted, like you can with Deal Machine, and having a compelling letter. Now I like it because I could switch the copy that I was using pretty easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can use, it's just like if you've ever used the app Canva,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of have that type of functionality built into the app for the like the elite members of Deal Machine, where you can even change the graphics and everything and design it all yourself just as easily as you're gonna change the text, like you're probably saying. I'm not sure if you've tried that or not, but you can change the text, you can change the design of all the postcards.
Awesome. Yeah, I haven't tried editing the exact postcards. I've just changed the postcard based on the designs that you guys already had in Deal Machine. So kind of the done for you stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's a great way to start.
Well, cool. You said you were in Indianapolis for a while, and you just recently moved to Austin. So what brought you to Austin?
The good weather brought me to Austin. I was here for a couple of trips. I decided to stay for 6 weeks between 2 trips here. And then after that, I got a 7-month lease and that's over. So now I've got a more permanent place here. And I just really fell in love with it. The Midwest gets kind of cloudy and gray and cold during the winter. And so the sun is always out here, I noticed, and it was 70 degrees in December and January. So that was a big reason why I moved here. But some of the reasons why I love it here is because there's tons of business owners like yourself. There's tons of entrepreneurs. It's almost more the norm than it is like a rare thing. And that's really, really cool to be around. And man, I mean, there's good food and people have a good mindset and there's good weather. And that was everything I was looking for.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's really, the people in Austin are just as good as the geography and the weather in Austin. So just the people I've met here and just the mindset of everybody is so different than some of the other cities I've lived in.
Agreed.
And hard to pin down a reason why, but it sure attracts great people.
Yeah, agreed.
So
what was the reason why you are located in Austin? Remind me of that.
Just really almost the exact same thing. So I love the energy. Oh, looks like
it does look like you. Okay.
Yeah, David. So the same reasons that you talked about. I moved to Austin. I love the weather. I love the energy here. There's so much opportunity here. There's great food. Who doesn't like tacos and barbecue? And there's just so many cool things to do. So you're never bored. We just took a really long vacation and decided after we got back that, hey, we really just want to spend more time in Austin. So
Austin's great. Agreed.
Yeah, there's no reason to go anywhere.
Where'd you go on your vacation, by the way?
We were in Nice, France for almost a month.
Wow. And then you decided you wanted to spend more time in Austin. Austin's great, people. Austin's great.
Yeah, no, exactly. I think that tells you something. I think Austin's just so much fun. Can you give our listeners some advice on how they can best use DealMachine? So coming from the person who built it, what's the most effective way to use DealMachine and use it to help you get more deals?
Yep. So there's like 2 paths that I would take you on. One is if you actually have a really, really low budget, but you've got some time to spend, go driving for dollars, go find a few hundred rundown properties and send mail 3 times each and get conversations going that way. If you do have a little bit of budget, like say, probably like $1,000 to $2,000 to spend on marketing, get List Builder, go pull a few niche lists. And remember, this is a little bit more expensive, but it's less time intrusive. Is you could pull, expired listings that have 35% equity or more on the MLS. Go mail that list. Go pull a few different other niche lists. There's some defaulted there in the List Builder part of the app and send mail that way. So those are the 2 things that I would choose to do to get started. I would avoid customizing postcards. I would avoid building custom mail sequences. Use the defaults like you mentioned, just the ready to go stuff. The biggest thing is taking action, adding properties and sending mail so you can have more conversations with people. So that would be the 2 options I'd say you have for getting started.
Awesome. No, I think that's great advice. And the driving for dollars thing, you just learn so much driving around driving for dollars too. So no matter what you do, I would say do that.
Yep.
Cool. So when investors started to do that and they've just got sort of a cadence going with it, how can someone build a team to also use DealMachine to help really grow and scale their business?
How can they use DealMachine to grow and scale their business? Well,
with implementing other people into it too.
Got it. Yeah, so that you could actually add multiple people to your DealMachine plan. Even on the basic plan, I think you can have an additional additional user on there. And if you have 2 people driving for dollars, you don't want to cross paths with each other. And we have the route tracking feature that tracks where you drove, just like if you were using a running app, it would track where you ran. And that's pretty critical for not overlapping and duplicating work. Or if you wanted to hire a driver, same thing. You want to use that route tracking feature to make sure he actually did drive around rather than just sitting at Taco Bell slurping on a Slurpee and eating a churro and you paying him for that time. So that would be 2 ways that you could actually use DealMachine to start scaling your business beyond yourself.
That's awesome. was not aware of the route tracker. I hadn't paid as much attention as I should have, but that's really cool. That's a great way to hold somebody accountable. It's driving for dollars for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, David, I know you're doing some of these events now, and DealMachine has grown to something so big compared to when I started using it a few years back, probably 6 years ago. 5, 6 years ago, I started using it. And it was just take the picture, send the mail. You have all this extra functionality, but what's next for you? What's your long-term vision, and what are your goals with the app?
What is somebody doing 5 seconds before and after they use DealMachine, and implementing that in an incredibly simple way? That's not an easy thing to do, but that's how we're going to continue to add to the product. So the next thing is probably like an integrated phone number so that you can track the ROI from the marketing you're sending out. And then also like text people who have called you as a lead through the app, and so that that's tracked inside the app. So those are two things that we'll put our heads to next, probably in the next year, and make sure those are done in the most simplest, easy to use way.
Oh, cool. I'm excited to see that. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Do you have a favorite business or mindset book that you like to recommend to people, David?
Yeah, actually, it's called Do/Improvise. And it is a book on living life without being, I should say this. It is like an improv, like comedy, improv theater book, but it's to actually kind of apply it to your life rather than try to be a performer. And you can apply it to work too. And one example of that is just treating everything that happens as an offer. So let's say that your goal was to do 2 deals this month, but you didn't do any deals and you don't know why. Well, instead of getting like mad and depressed about that, treating that as an offer, investigating like, well, what happened? Where were my errors? And treating that as an offer. So you could be like more curious, ask maybe more questions that maybe leads you to a completely another business. But just the mindset of treating everything as an offer, nothing as a blocker, and you bringing that mindset into the business has been really fun. So I've enjoyed that book, and I'm just about to finish it.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No, you've really grown the business in a lot of cool ways, and I got to check that out. What was the name of that book again? We'll make
It's a
sure to put that in
confusing
the show
title.
notes.
It's called Do/Improvise.
Do comma improvise?
It's actually Do/Improvise.
Okay. And we'll put that in the show notes for everybody here too. David, what's the best way people can learn more about you or follow you? And obviously learn more about DealMachine.
DealMachine.com, DealMachine on your app store. And my Instagram is Lecko, DLECKO.
Awesome. Cool. Most important question we ask here today, David. What is your favorite restaurant in Austin?
Ooh, that's a great question. I have a very favorite restaurant in Austin, and I bet many of you guys haven't been there because it's so small. It's actually called Sushi Bar. It is a 10-top restaurant. It is in the back of Bento Picnic on East 6th in East Austin. It doesn't even have a sign on the outside. It's inside Bento Picnic, like I said, and they're just booked up every night. It's an omasake experience where everybody gets served like a bunch of sushi courses, like all at the same time. But if you've got a Chase Sapphire credit card, I didn't know this, they reserve 2 seats every night for a Chase guest. So you can get in a lot sooner if you have that card. And I've had that card for years. I literally didn't know how to use this service. You go into your Chase account where you kind of go redeem your rewards, and you can reserve restaurants through that portal. And that is how you can get into Sushi Bar. That is my favorite restaurant. So good.
That's a great insider tip. There's another great 5 or 10 top sushi bar restaurant in East Austin. I can't remember it. I'll absolutely tell it to you offline when I look it up, but definitely have to try Sushi Bar.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, David, thank you so much for coming on here today. And for everybody listening, make sure you go download DealMachine, DealMachine.com, and follow David on Instagram at DLecko.
Thank you so much, Jordan.
All right, great to talk to you. Talk to you here soon.
All right, I'll see you, man.